Hello and welcome to Kid-Poi. Here is Francois, Hannah and Tina. The three of them are going to show you how to play Poi. You will learn the basics, a few crazy tricks, and how to play Poi with a partner. But what does Poi mean and where does it come from? The word Poi translates simply as ball. Originally, it comes from the Maori, who were the native inhabitants of New Zealand. At first, they were used by warriors to strengthen the arm muscles. Later, the wives of the warriors discovered Poi, and since then it's normally only the womenfolk of the Maoris who play Poi, and they are known to sing and dance while doing so. As you can see, there is a wide range of Poi: flag Poi, light Poi, fluffy Poi, sock Poi, fire Poi and tail Poi, to name but a few. They all look different in action. Let's do a little warm-up before we start. Make a gentle circle with your head a few times to the right and to the left. Then circles with your shoulders, first backwards, good, and then forwards. Shake your arms and then make big circles with them. Forwards, and then backwards. Turn your body a little with the swing so as not to strain the shoulders. Now try to turn the arms in opposite directions and then in the other direction. Super! And now the important bit. The hands. Cross your hands and circle them to the left and to the right. Now place your palms together with a little pressure like Tina is doing until you feel a little stretching in the wrists. Repeat the exercises a few times each. The more you warm up, the more flexible you will be and the easier you will find the necessary movements. Also, you reduce the chance of hurting yourself while playing. To get a feeling for the Poi, take one in one hand and just play around with it. It's a lot about making circles. This feels good, for example. When you've got a feeling for it, then change to the other hand. We're about to really start, but first, you should get the right length for your Poi. It should be the length from your hand to your shoulder. You will find the same length if you hang the Poi and make sure it doesn't quite touch the floor. There are a few different ways to hold the Poi. If you have a Poi with finger loops like Tina, then you can use 2 fingers to hold it. Or you can use your little finger and hold the Poi between your thumb and index finger like Francois is doing. Experiment a little until you find the best way for you. Same time, same direction. So now we can really start. The first movement to learn is to swing both Poi in forward circles. As you can see, they are synchronized and therefore stay parallel to one another. This is your first real Poi move, and is called same time, same direction. Hannah, can you turn to us? You can see that the poi should stay close to the body. At first, they might make a kind of V shape, but with a bit of patience and effort, you'll learn to keep them straight. As soon as you feel comfortable playing forward, then try backwards. Practice all movements as slowly as possible. The faster you play, the less control you have, and the more chance of collisions you have. You can join the forwards and backwards movements fluidly by turning 180 degrees during the play. Let's try that first without the poi. Imagine your arms are the poi. Turn them in big forward circles around your body, and then when they are at the bottom, turn around, passing the arms in front of you so that you can change to doing backward circles. To turn back, wait until the arms are above your head. Good. And now the whole thing with the poi. Forward swing. When the poi is down, swing them in front of you. Turn and you're into a backwards movement. Return over the top when the poi is at its highest point. Exactly. And again, poi down, turn. Poi up, turn. Does it work? Super! If not, this is a good time to put the DVD on hold and practice for a while. There is another way to turn 180. When you turn, try keeping the arms on separate sides of the body, rather than bringing them both to the front. In this case, one arm plays briefly behind the back. To turn, simply play over your shoulder, so down, hips up, shoulders. Great. The move can also be played continuously without moving your body. François will now show you a few variations of same time, same direction tricks. Enjoy! Now that you've learnt a few basics, it's time for a little theory. In poi, there are different planes in which you can play. Here, Tina is playing in the so-called wall plane. François, can you show us the wall plane with that frame you have? Thanks. It's as if there's a wall in front of us. Now, Tina has rotated 90 degrees and is playing in the wheel plane. Can you remember the name if you imagine a car with a wheel on each side? The third plane is the horizontal plane. This plane isn't used often, but is the basis for a few nice tricks. Keep these planes in the back of your mind. If you are aware on which plane you are playing, then you can practice in a way that your audience can see your patterns well. Hannah will now show you how to continue. Which plane is she playing in? Yes, the wheel plane. Now that you've learned same time, same direction, it's time to try split time, same direction. As you can see, Hannah's poi aren't swinging together, but half a turn off beat. When one poi is at the top of its swing, the other is straight down. This move, as all others, can be played in both directions. If you practice both directions from the start, you will save a lot of effort later. Let's see if we can play split time at hip height in the wall plane. Yes, great! Very similar to the turn in the last lecture. And now in shoulder height. And of course, you can play in split time and turn in any direction. In split time, you can also play over the head. That looks like this. We call this the windmill. From this you can go into a giant windmill by opening your arms at the right moment. So head, left arm, up, finish. And now in slow motion. The left arm goes down at its lowest point, the right arm follows when the left is on the way back up. Left down, then the right, and then both back above the head. Now, pay attention to the hands as they disappear behind the head. Tina will now show us a bunch of things which you can do with split time, same direction. Thanks, Tina. Very smooth. The next trick which François will teach you is the weave. So called because the hands weave together. No, François, not like that. Let's ask Tina to do it instead. To learn the weave, we will need a little more theory. When the poi turns a full circle, that counts as one beat. Can you see it? 2 beats are simply 1, 2 times round, and so on. To start with, take the right hand and try to turn 1 beat on the left and 1 beat on the right, as if you were drawing a figure of 8 in the air. By the way, when one hand plays on the opposite side of the body, we call it a crossover. Once you have learned with the other hand, then try switching hands into crossover at the same time. Now to the 2-beat weave, a trick with 2 full turns in it. Stretch out your left hand and try to play the right hand poi, here the yellow one, over the left hand. 1 turn on the right side and 1 crossover. 1, 2, 1, 2. You see? Good. Now stretch the right hand out and repeat the exercise with the left hand, but this time going under the stretched arm. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Yes, exactly. The next trick is the 3-beat weave. This is the favorite trick for many poi players, not only because it looks good, but that it feels fantastic. We can start just like for the 2-beat weave. Stretch your left hand out and start the right hand poi turning. This time the right hand swings one time over the left arm and then one time underneath. We'll look at it in slow motion. Left over, under and back to the right side. You see the 3 beats? Now the same thing with the left hand. Stretch the right arm out. Swing the left hand poi over the right arm to the right side, then under, then back to the left side. Right over, under left. Take time to learn this step clearly. Of course, you can stop the DVD at any time and watch it again if it's all going too fast for you. Now it's time to try the trick with 2 poi. Hannah will show the trick. Hey, wait, that was a bit quick. We'll try again slowly. You take your right hand over the left and then the left over the right. Let's look at it in slow motion. The right hand with the yellow poi travels over the left hand, then under and back to its own side. The left hand with the orange poi does the same in split time over, under and back. Let's look at it from the front so that you can see how the arms travel from one side of the body to the other. You may find the weave easier if you stretch the arms on each side. We call this an extension. However, the weave looks particularly beautiful if you keep the wrists close to one another. As ever, you can also play the weave backwards. Watch out this time that during your preparation you first go under the stretched arm and then over, cross over, under, over and back. Once you have both forwards and backwards under control, you can turn during the weave. Forwards, turn, backwards, turn again, forwards again. And if you like, you can add beats on each side to create a 5-beat weave. And to put François in difficulties, a 7-beat weave. Hannah will show you how you can use the weave in various forms to impress your audience. Oof! Oof! That was a lot. But on top of all this, you can also play the poi in opposite directions. Tina will show you the simplest same time opposite direction trick, the butterfly. To do this trick, you need to hold both hands in front of you with one a little above the other. This trick too requires a little patience, but once you've got it, it opens up endless new possibilities. Before we move on to the next trick, let's check if it works in the other direction. Yes, super! The next trick is the giant butterfly. Like Hannah is doing, you start with a normal butterfly and then simply open or extend the arms. You can play this trick not only in the wall plane, but in the wheel plane too. Now to a trick called thread the needle. It's given this name because you have to thread the pois very carefully in order to not get knotted. But do you have to have a needle? No. This is how the thread the needle can look later. You start with a normal butterfly with the left hand over the right. Now try putting the right hand over the left. Feels quite different, doesn't it? When you are comfortable with the right over the left and the left over the right, then exchange them occasionally. Right up, left, right, left. Gradually speed up the frequency of exchange until you arrive at every beat. 1, 2, 1, 2. In slow motion, you can see that the poi have to thread past each other very skillfully in order not to tangle. The butterfly can also be done in split time. In the same time butterfly, the poi meet at the top and the bottom of their circles, whereas they meet on the left and the right in the split time butterfly. If you look carefully, you can see the difference, and of course you can do the trick in both directions. The giant butterfly can also be done in split time. In this case, the arms meet at shoulder height. Hannah is playing in the wall plane. Shall we see if it works in the wheel plane? No, the human body wasn't built to do that. The butterfly is particularly impressive if you play it in one hand. This is very practical if you want to do something with the other hand. We'll look at it in slow motion. This time, Tina will show a whole bunch of crazy things which can be done with the butterfly. You have already learned a few tricks which use extensions. In fact, there is a whole new series of tricks which are solely played with stretched arms. These are called flowers. A flower is a circle made up of several smaller circles which look like petals, hence the name. The poi and the arms both circulate, as you can see with François. Hannah will show you the simplest flower, the so-called in-spin flower. The easiest way to learn this trick is to start with one poi. Play in the wall plane and make a beat down, one at shoulder height, one over the head, back to shoulder height and then another down. Once you can do it with one hand, practice it with the other. And now the whole thing in the opposite direction, down, shoulder, up, shoulder, down. To do this trick with both hands, it's best to use the wheel plane. Start with the right hand over the head and the left hand down. Then you play the beats as in practice, shoulder height, down and up, shoulder height and up and down. Your arms should stay in a line, just like in the warm-up with one hand. Later you can play the flower in variations. For example, with just 2 beats, one up and one down. Tina will now show you how you can do the same moves as a butterfly. Turn to the side, move your arms in opposite upwards directions and make a beat with each poi at shoulder height, over the head, shoulder height, and so on. Fly. Turn to the side, move. The in-spin flower is so called because the poi spins in the same direction as the arms. If you spin the poi in the opposite direction to the arms, you get an anti-spin flower. Can you see the difference? To learn this trick, you should first try with one hand in the wall plane. François is turning his poi anti-clockwise from where we're looking, but his arms are turning clockwise. Tricky, but possible. You can learn this trick by just moving from one point to the next and taking a beat break. Once you can do that, try to connect the circles to get a fluid sequence. Once you can manage the anti-spin flower in the wall plane, it's time to try the same thing with both hands in the wheel plane. The nice thing about the flowers is that there are no limits for switching around between the variations. You should pay special attention with the flowers to keep your shoulders loose and to play with minimum strength. Otherwise the flowers are unlikely to be smooth and your shoulders are in danger of cramping up. In case of emergency, the only thing which really helps is a nice, relaxing massage. You can play the anti-spin flowers in opposite directions like Tina is doing. And now, François will take to the stage to show us some of the many possibilities with flowers. If you make the poi shorter, you can play a whole bunch of other tricks. A simple but effective trick is the buzz saw. That's another word for a circular saw. Take the poi as short as Hannah has them and play them between your arms. They have to be short enough not to hit yourself. You can play the buzzsaw forwards or backwards, or for a change, horizontally. The buzzsaw can also be played as a fountain, the buzzsaw fountain. Start with the fluid buzzsaw on one side of your body. Move your arms down and up the other side and over your head back to the starting position. Pay attention that the poi stay between your arms and that they spin in the same direction as your arms. That makes it an in-spin, exactly. And where there is an in-spin, there must be an anti-spin. And that looks like this. Watch carefully, the poi spins in the opposite direction to the arms. There is a lot of freedom of movement with this trick. For example, to do acrobatics. All the tricks up until now have something in common. The poi always spins around one point, the hand. We call this the center of rotation. There is an alternative, which is quite difficult but very pretty. The isolation. First take note of the center of rotation being the hand. In an isolation, the center of rotation moves to the middle of the poi, just as Francois is doing. You see the difference? As you can see, not only the head of the poi makes a circle, but the hand too. An easy way to understand the movement is to hold on to each end of the poi. Try isolating the buzzsaw. And now try without holding on to the poi. Not so easy. Francois, can you show us some variations? The isolations are very tricky, but if you don't lose your patience and practice them a little every day, then they will soon look great. You may have noticed that it's possible to change the direction of the poi. As well as kicking the poi, or catching it and letting go again, there is a technique called stalls, which means stopping suddenly. For the simplest stall, just let the poi swing up to one side and let it fall in the other direction. And again, swing up, change direction. Another variation is to let the poi stall at its lowest point. Turn the poi and then fall to a still position and bring it back into motion on the other direction. And one more time on the other side. Or you can try to stall the poi at its highest position. Swing the poi up, stop, and pull it back down. Thanks, Hannah. If you know someone who also plays poi, you can make a start on partner poi. Even the easiest trick is great fun. It's called the seesaw. Hannah and Tina will show you how it works. In principle, you just stall downwards, swing back, and then let the poi stall again in the horizontal. And now, together. Your pois have to spin in the same direction. As you are standing opposite, one plays forwards while the other one plays backwards. In a moment, you will move together, but first get in time while counting. 1, 2, 3, and on 4 step together. One partner stalls over the other's shoulders at the same moment as the second partner lets his or her poi swing out to horizontal. So you are always doing the opposite of your partner. Now alternate, like on a seesaw. Keep the same rhythm. Looks good? Now Hannah and Tina will show you an impressive partner poi trick which is not difficult to learn. It's called the walkthrough and starts like the seesaw. This time, when you come together, turn past each other like a dance. You have turned 180 degrees with the poi. If you are the partner spinning forwards, then play the poi over your partner's arms. If you are the partner spinning backwards, then play under your partner's arms. Work out your rhythm and direction before you start. To avoid this happening. So, one more time, find the rhythm, then together and apart. Great. Now in the other direction. Very nice. But do you have to move so far apart each time? Try taking just one step apart, then back together. And then again with no step apart. It's the same trick, but done continuously. If you look closely, you'll notice that each pair of hands does a 3-beat weave. You can even try to turn continuously. So, that was it from us. We hope you enjoyed it and wish you fun and success learning poi. Cheerio! Now we're off for a well-earned break. Till next time.